and welcome to Magnesium for Athletes Part 2. So as promised, this is the follow-up video to the one I posted earlier this week on Tuesday, titled 5 Ways Magnesium Can Help Improve Your Athletic Performance. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about some dietary sources of magnesium, my top 5 favorites, as well as 4 reasons why it's difficult to get enough magnesium through diet alone. And then I'm going to talk about some different forms of magnesium supplementation that are available on the market, which forms are better than others, and which one might be the best for you. So stay tuned for all the magnesium knowledge you could possibly ever want. So dietary sources of magnesium. There really isn't a lot, but my top 5, number 1 is chocolate. It's actually cacao or cocoa beans that are a really good source of magnesium. So I'm not suggesting that you go out and dummy some Kit Kat bars, because I'm actually very against refined sugar. However, really dark chocolate is a good source of magnesium. And again, it's kind of an acquired taste. I personally eat like 100% cocoa chocolate. It's really bitter and it took me a while to get used to it, but now I love it. Some of my friends make fun of me, but that's okay. So it's kind of like, wine or coffee the first time you drink it. You probably didn't like it, and now you can't live without it. And maybe that's what dark chocolate is gonna be for you. And when I say dark chocolate, I mean 100% cocoa chocolate. You should try it and increase your dietary intake of magnesium at the same time. Number 2 on my list of dietary sources of magnesium are nuts and seeds. So seeds are a little bit more nutrient dense when it comes to minerals, and the 2 seeds off the top of my head that are really good sources of magnesium are pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. So increasing your intake of those can help increase the amount of magnesium you're getting through your diet. And dietary sources number 3, 4, and 5 are seafood, dark leafy green vegetables, and blackstrap molasses. So increasing your dietary consumption of those 5 things that I've just listed can help improve your magnesium deficiency if you're deficient in this macro mineral. Even if you're eating crap loads of cacao and blackstrap molasses and dark leafy green vegetables and all the pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds in the world, you still might not be getting enough magnesium through diet alone. So now I'm going to talk about 4 reasons why consuming or trying to get enough magnesium through your diet alone is not enough. Number 1 being our soil is super depleted in magnesium, along with a bunch of other nutrients, but magnesium specifically. So our food supply just doesn't contain as much magnesium as it used to. Reason number 2 you're likely not getting enough magnesium is due to poor absorption. There's many things that affect the absorption of nutrients in our body. One of them being just how effective our digestive system is. If you have any sort of digestive issues such as IBS, likely you are not absorbing the nutrients that your body requires, magnesium being one of them. Another reason for not being able to absorb magnesium through dietary sources is because vitamin D is needed for absorption. And if you are Canadian and you're not supplementing with vitamin D, very likely you're also deficient in that vitamin. And yet another reason why you're likely not absorbing enough magnesium through your diet is because of drug interactions. So a lot of drugs, including antibiotics, will actually bind to magnesium, and when these substances bind to minerals or other vitamins, we can't absorb them. The third reason why we are not getting enough magnesium is because it's very easily excreted from our bodies. So the stores of magnesium that we do have, if we have a high stress life, we're excreting a lot of magnesium. And I touched on this briefly in the last video. I explained how magnesium is required in order to make cortisol, or stress hormone. So if we are living a very high stressed life, we're using a lot of magnesium and excreting a lot of magnesium. And most of us in North America do live a very high stress life. And if you're an athlete, as I mentioned before, that is a stress on your body, especially if you're a high level athlete. Being an elite athlete, especially when you're a student at the same time, is really stressful. And so you're going to be using a lot of magnesium and would really benefit from supplementation. Alcohol consumption is another thing that increases the excretion of magnesium. So if you are consuming alcoholic beverages on a regular basis, you would also benefit from magnesium supplementation, as well as increasing magnesium-rich sources of food in your diet. The fourth reason you're likely not getting enough magnesium, and this one is specifically for people who live in Alberta, is because of the amount of limestone in Alberta's geology. So limestone is really high in calcium. I touched briefly on the relationship between calcium and magnesium in the last video, but when it comes to absorption, calcium and magnesium compete for absorption. So the more calcium we are consuming in our diet, the less magnesium we're able to absorb. And due to water runoff through the limestone and calcium getting into our water supply, we're consuming in Alberta a lot of calcium. And even if you're using a water filter, water filters don't filter out calcium, they filter out other things. As a side note, this is also the reason, since moving to Alberta and starting my practice, I never prescribe calcium supplements for people. Granted, I don't think I have any patients with osteoporosis, so it's a little bit different in that population, but we just get plenty of calcium through our water supply here in Alberta, so supplementing more calcium isn't really necessary, in my opinion. Okay, so let's talk about magnesium supplementation. As I mentioned, there is a ton of different forms of magnesium out there. There's magnesium citrate, magnesium taurate, magnesium aspartate, magnesium sulfate, magnesium glycinate, magnesium amino acid chelate. The list goes on. There is so many. So which one is the best to supplement with? And that really depends on you. As I mentioned in the last video, a lot of magnesium supplements can affect digestion. So actually most of them do, especially magnesium citrate and magnesium oxalate. And these are the two cheapest forms of magnesium. So often the supplements you find at Shoppers or, I don't know, other health food stores are in this form. As I mentioned, they're going to affect your digestion, so they aren't forms that I normally recommend unless you suffer from constipation. But if you have really good digestion, then that's not a good idea, taking those forms of magnesium. My personal favorite form of magnesium is magnesium bisglycinate, because magnesium bisglycinate will cross what's called the blood-brain barrier. So there's a barrier between our blood and our brain, and most of the forms of magnesium don't make it into our brain, but magnesium bisglycinate does, and that is how it is relaxing for our nervous system as well as our muscles, and it can really promote that deep sleep I was talking about in my last video. Glycinate also has other benefits when it comes to muscle relaxation. So as I mentioned, that's my favorite form of magnesium. It's a little bit trickier to find, and I always only recommend professional brands in my practice. If you're wondering what a professional brand is, I did write another blog post about professional supplements and just good quality supplementation in it was a while ago. You can head to my website and check that out if you're interested in it. Another way that I like to prescribe magnesium to my patients is with Epsom salt baths. So Epsom salt contains magnesium in the form of magnesium sulfate. So when you have an Epsom salt bath, you're absorbing magnesium actually through your skin. So if you do have digestive issues or you seem to not be absorbing magnesium through diet or supplementation, then this is probably a good option for you. And there's other benefits to having Epsom salt baths. If you have never had an Epsom salt bath, and especially if you're an athlete, I suggest trying them out because they're very relaxing. The best time to do it is before bed, especially if it's a warm Epsom salt bath. When we expose our body to heat like that, the reaction is for our body to cool down, and our body naturally lowers our temperature before we go to bed. That's how one of the ways melatonin, the sleepy hormone, is stimulated. So in conclusion, eat more dark chocolate, have Epsom salt baths, and come in and see me for your individualized magnesium prescription. So I will hopefully post another video next week. Let me know if you found this one informative, and just comment on what you want me to talk about next. I have a ton of ideas of topics for videos, but I gotta give the people what they want, so let me know some things that you are interested in, especially as an athlete, as most of my practice is athletes, specifically CrossFitters. Okay, that is all I have for today. I will see you later. And don't forget to subscribe.